Welcome back to the Just Golf Podcast. This is episode 34, and our special guest is Sarah. She was on with Adri. Yeah, just had to double check. And she's going to be giving her testimony on. So, yeah.
Yeah, so Connor's sitting in my spot.
I stole Pablo's.
He took over.
He took over. I'm the leader.
But before we also kind of get into the episode today, New Jersey dropping June 25th. I'm not sure how many days that'll be.
Well, it's
like the day we're releasing.
June 8th right now.
Because we got
but
we got Matthew's episode after this, and then we got our episode. So I'm not really sure. We're releasing this in 2 weeks, which is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But anyways, so Sarah, she's back on. You might have seen her on Adri's episode. If you guys haven't seen Adri's episode as well, you guys should totally watch that.
Adri, bro. I don't know. Adri's like switching. Okay.
She like comments. Like, but anyways, so you DM'd us saying that you had like a pulling in your heart to kind of just get back on. So like, when did you like have that pulling?
Well, when I came to be on the pod, well, I wasn't really supposed to be on the podcast.
Yeah.
You know, I just kind of, Adri was like, hey, you want to go? And I was like, yeah, okay, sure. And her testimony is really great, especially if you've gone through like an injury like that and have dealt with spiritual battles through your injury. And then I was kind of like, me and my youth pastor has talked about before about something I'm going to share today, being kind of different, I guess. And it's something I still struggle with. So I was kind of like on the edge, like, should I share it? Should I not? But if I'm out and open and honest with y'all that I'm still struggling with it, then it'll be okay. And I was like, I need to share this because we've had like sharing days at church and I haven't been able to really like give my full testimony because I mean, there was other people that needed to share. So it was kind of rushed a little bit. So yeah, that's why I kind of felt it like almost when we left. I was like, I should have said more, but it was her testimony that day. So I didn't feel like I needed to intrigue in that as well, because I've never dealt with like a medical injury like that.
Well, that's actually like really crazy because I don't think we've ever had someone like reach out after an episode or something like that. You're like, can I be back on? Like, you know, you kind of like asked him, but Also, Briar, I just feel like
he wasn't here.
have not even let him talk yet. So Briar is officially a host now. I'll edit like a crown, maybe some confetti. Hopefully I remember this because my editing schedule is pretty busy. But anyways, so Briar, you guys might have seen him a couple episodes back when it was pop-up shop or pop-up store. I forgot the title, but so right after that episode, he really liked being on the podcast and he was like, this is really cool. Could we do it? Can I be on it? And we're like, yeah. So Briar's officially a host now. So the hosts are me, Brock, Connor, and Briar.
Yeah.
And we've only had one episode, like all four of us together.
Yeah.
That was really before we even like knew we were going to be like all hosts and stuff.
Yeah.
But guys, we also do want to let you know that we are planning on doing a Roman series. We're going to be doing a Roman series where we'll be uploading a video every single day. We don't know the exact date yet. We're still kind of on the planning phase of it because we're all like, for like this week and next week, we're all going to be on vacation and stuff. But guys, all four of us, this will be the first time where we're actually like 16 episodes of us all together.
Deep diving into the word.
That's crazy. If we have the Roman series right after that, then if this is episode 34, so it'll go up all the way to episode 50. That's insane. The jump, because it'll be a new episode every day.
Bro, what?
So we're on episode 34, and the fact that in the span of like a week is going to go to like episode 50, just like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But anyway, so you said you wanted to share your testimony and kind of talk about mental health and stuff.
Yes.
So like how? Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. I don't know how. But so like how do you do that? But like what were you planning on like saying, I guess?
What do you mean by that?
Okay. My interviewing sucks. I've been doing this for like over a year. I suck at asking questions.
It's the seat. Yeah, it's the seat.
It's the seat.
We might have to switch.
All the knowledge. Connor's just asking questions. But so you said you wanted to come on and speak about mental health and your testimony. So like, what is your testimony? Is what I'm trying to ask.
Okay. So you want me to get into my testimony?
Yeah, not
how. So I grew up in church. My parents weren't religious for a little bit. And then when I was little, we were jumping around churches trying to find which one we wanted to be at. Then we found Life Point and we stuck. And no hate to my parents. I love my parents, but they weren't the best example growing up of how to just live your life for God. I mean, we would go to church and they would try to serve, but it really never clicked for them. It's clicking more now, I guess, I think, because now they see me. And, I always get onto them. I'm like, it's Sunday. Where you at?
Yeah.
And that's something I've been really passionate about recently is getting them closer to church. But I grew up in church around my community and my family. But I guess it was kind of like I saw when I first got baptized when I was 4. And that was just because my best friend got baptized.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. I want to be baptized. And so, I mean, I understood okay, Jesus died on the cross for, my sins, and then he resurrected, and that, and I believe that. And so I'm saved. And now I get to show it by being baptized. And I understood that, but it wasn't a deep connection. I didn't really understand after that, you have a relationship with God, and it's like any other relationship. You have to maintain it to be a good friend, I guess. And, but I grew up in church and I had a couple of family problems that really impacted me. I grew up around my grandparents a lot. Family was very important, especially my grandparents, because my parents were busy. They worked jobs that require them there a lot. And, I had a grandfather and I grew up around him a lot at his house. And then I guess I don't really have a good time. I guess when I was around 8, he got back on drugs and he did a lot of not great things.
Yeah.
I was left at trade day for 6 hours by myself, selling puppies for him. That was great. What an experience.
Yeah.
And then that same day, he fell asleep driving. And then, I walked in. Okay. Whew, I walked in on him, having my uncle up against the wall with a weapon and, screaming and yelling at him and stuff, that if he told anybody that he got back on drugs, that it was going to be bad. And then that's when the whole family found out. And then, so he went to jail and stuff. And that really impacted me because, he would tell me all the time, this is your fault. The reason I'm on drugs, it's your fault. And I know he may have not necessarily meant that because his mindset wasn't in the right spot. But when you're 8, that's hard.
Yeah.
That's really hard to hear. And so that sent me through a very deep depression. And so I gained weight, I didn't have friends, and I would just stay at home all the time. And really just isolate myself at my house. I didn't talk to nobody about my feelings or anything. And then we moved far away because we lived down the road from them. So we moved far away. And at this new house, it still continued. I made some friends at the church. I have my little friend group, Adrian and them.
Yeah.
And I was finally, pulling out. And then my grandmother passed away. And that affected me again really badly. And I just was like, why would God even put me through this? Even though I wasn't really maintaining a relationship with him, I didn't understand that. I thought okay, read my Bible, go to church, pray. If I do all these things, then our relationship, even though I wasn't really doing that to build my relationship, I just was checking it off the list of the day and thinking, okay, this will get me in heaven, because that used to be something I was really scared of at this age, was going to hell. I don't I guess because it was such, I don't know, when you get saved, that's kind of when you're little, it's okay, if I get saved, then I go to heaven. You don't really go deeper into that, I guess. And so I was really scared of going to hell. Yeah. And then I started, I guess a couple months after my grandmother died, I got peer pressured into self-harming. which led to an addiction and self-harming. And I would tell my mom about it and stuff. And, you know, she did the right thing. She was like, if you need help, like, you know, come wake me up. Like, cause she worked night shift. So, I mean, she was asleep, you know, and she has narcolepsy. So yeah. And, she'd be like, come wake me up. Come tell me, like, this is like, you can get through this. And I just didn't.
Yeah.
So one time, I guess I was about 12 here. One time I did it and she finally was just like, okay, you're telling your dad. And my dad's a police officer. And I was like, no, cause I don't know, like with my mom, and I feel like this is a lot like this for a lot of girls, but like with my mom, when we get in arguments and stuff, it's like, it's serious. Yeah. But it's not like, oh my gosh, like the end of the world. But like when my dad gets on to me or I hurt him, oh my gosh, might as well just leave because it's heartbreaking. And so she was like, okay, you're going to show your dad what you did. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? And so she takes me out to the kitchen and she makes me show him, you know, he's like, what did you do? What did you do? And he knew at this point. And I showed him, and he had given me a pocket knife recently. It was my first pocket knife. And that's what I had used. And I think that really broke him. And he was like, did you use the pocket knife I gave you? And I was like, no. And he was like, okay, so which one? And I was like, oh, the one in the sink. The one time there's not a knife in the sink, you know? And so he goes and he looks and there's not one in the sink. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm cooked.
Yeah.
And so he's like, it was that pocket knife. And I was like, yeah. And so he was like, you have 5 minutes to find it. And I was like, I did not remember where I placed it. It ended up just being under my pillow. But he was like, you have 5 minutes to find it. If not, I'm going in there and I'm raiding your room. Didn't find it in the 5 minutes. He comes in there. He pulls all my drawers out and dumps them on the floor, throws my bed, everything. So like basically like an officer raiding, just imagine that in a 12-year-old girl's bedroom. And
12?
Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
And not like, no, like obviously I don't really feel like that was the right thing to do then.
Yeah.
But he was hurt. Mm-hmm. And I understand that. And that same night, he ended up coming back in there and being like apologizing. And I still had to clean up my room, which kind of sucked. But they had taken everything, like all the silverware out and put it in their room. Everything, literally every weapon I could use to self-harm, they took it away, which was smart. But I guess it was the next week, I was grounded. I was really grounded. So I didn't have anyone to talk to besides them. And at that point, I was really angry with them for like, because I felt like that's not what should have happened.
Yeah.
And one night I got really deep into sadness, and I was like, okay, I'm going to take my life tonight. And but like I said, I was really scared of going to hell. So for like 4 hours, I researched and I read my Bible and I prayed to God, like, okay, because I was looking up, like, is it a sin to kill yourself? Like, well, if I kill myself, will I go to heaven? Like, what, you know? And everything I was like reading basically said, no. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is really serious. Yeah. And so I was reading my Bible and praying to God for like 4 hours. Like, I just can't do it anymore. Like, but I want to go to heaven. And like basically apologizing for the sin that I had not commit yet.
Yeah.
And then I took, the one thing that they didn't take away was like medication. And so I took a bunch of pills that night. And honestly, like in normal circumstances, I should have died that night because it was a lot. It was a lot. And so I was sitting there and I was crying after I'd taken the medication. I was still praying and reading my Bible and talking to God. And I just felt like this overwhelming love enter the room. Mm-hmm. And I just knew like he was there sitting with me.
Yeah.
And so at this point, after I had felt this overwhelming love, I was like, oh my gosh, I just did that. And was writing, I was writing letters and stuff. I was fully preparing. And then I honestly, I'm here. So, so nothing happened. And I really think
crazy.
that was God that night.
Amen,
and he saved me because in any other circumstance, there's movies and stuff where people do that. And, it doesn't take, and I had done my research. I was fully committed. It doesn't take much, and I took a lot. And so I think God really saved me that night. Of course, I had repercussions in the morning. Like I felt sick for a good little bit. But when I woke up the next morning, I was like, because I had fallen asleep, like crying and praying to God. I had just fallen asleep, fully prepared to like die in my sleep or something. Mm-hmm. And I woke up the next morning and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm here. And then from then on, and I won't say I haven't, like after that, it was like rainbows and butterflies.
Still hard.
Yeah, I still had a self-harm addiction. Yeah. And so that didn't just like stop right out of the blue. God can take that away from some people, but that's such a big part of my testimony. He felt the need to leave it in my life for a little bit. And so the next morning I was like, okay. And that's when I truly started believing that God was real and that he loved me and that he's going to take care of me no matter what. And then another part, this is the part of my testimony that I feel like I like to say is still continuing because it's something I deal with today. But during all of this time, I got addicted to lust. And not the usual, like, I feel like a lot of people feel like boys are more addicted to, like, can I say porn? I don't know. I don't know what's allowed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like most of the time, like, you hear boys get addicted to, like, porn. And then girls' lust is more like, oh my gosh, I want to make out with you. And, but that was like, I was the total opposite. So I've always felt a little different because when they talk about it on Sunday mornings, if they're like, okay, pick up your bed and walk. And it's like, for men, this may be lust, anger, whatever. And I'm like, that includes me too, not just men. And so during this whole time, I fell into a really bad addiction to porn. And that's where I found my self-worth. And it was... And I still deal with that today. And it finally led to the part where like I got in relationships and we did, I had premarital sex and, it just, everything was building up in this addiction. And actually a couple Sundays ago, my pastor had he did a preaching about picking up your mat and walking from an addiction or sin that you continue to do. And I finally just laid it all out. And I was like, okay, I'm like, this is done. Like, I'm not being held to this anymore because I found porn really. I had no, which is weird, my dad being a cop, but I had no restriction of access of the internet. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that's necessarily needed, but with everything I was going through, I'd say I found porn in 3rd grade.
Wow.
Which is really young.
Yeah.
Which I'm terrible at math, but so I was probably like 7. So that's like 10 years of dealing with lust. Actually, probably more like 11 because I'm 18. So 11 years I've dealt with this addiction. And it's still every day I have to choose to pick up my bed and walk. Yeah. Because it's not, like I said, I'm not letting it take control anymore. And then I was getting to a good point where I didn't crave to do this anymore, but I was still in a relationship where we were having premarital sex. And then I think God finally delivered me from that. And we broke up just a couple weeks, like a week ago. And since then have had no urge to do anything like that. That was the final, I think, through this, God is telling, like, that was the final part that needed to be done.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I could put limits on my social media. I could put limits on Google because I have done that because I've done all the Bible studies about lust and all these other things. But like when someone's physically beside you wanting that, it's not saying that he definitely never forced me to do anything I didn't want to do. But I mean, it's hard to make the right decision in your mind when all of these feelings are building up. And it got to the point where I was so guilty. Like I would just like sit there and cry when everything was going on. And then, you know, we'd stop and you'd be like, "You okay?" And I was like, "I just can't. Like, I feel guilty." But I couldn't. I'm a people pleaser. I can't, you know, and that's something that has built into that is I feel bad for saying no. And then when I did say no, it kind of made it awkward and stuff. And so him delivering me from that sin was us breaking up and me being able to separate myself from that. And we had tried so many times because he's also religious. We had tried so many times to stop, but like in the Bible, it says like lust is addiction in your heart, you know, like everything else is physical and like you know, but this one is in your heart and in your mind. And I've watched so many like videos about how it creates like a brain. It totally messes up your brain. And, it's so trying over and over again. We just, you know, it was so hard. So I think breaking up really, God is delivering me from that. And so that's my current testimony that I am working on is getting rid of that. So that's my testimony.
Really, really powerful. Lust is like the only sin that you're supposed to flee from.
Yeah.
So God delivering you from that, you were fleeing from.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you pass me
literally.
my Bible real quick?
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah, I brought mine too because during all that led me to my favorite book in the Bible is Revelation. And in the past, my favorite book in the Bible was Revelation because I was trying to go to heaven when I was trying to die. And that's where it talks about it the most. And then now it's my favorite book of the Bible for a different reason because I have that emotional connection with it. And I'm so intrigued on sharing it with people, I guess, if that makes sense. And I feel like that's kind of why it's my favorite book of the Bible now. But what were you pulling up?
Anyways, so I've shared on the podcast like how hard it is for me to like keep up with my Bible. I think we were even talking about it in the car, you know,
like Bible reading.
Because I feel like sometimes I really have like a spiritual high with God where I'm on fire. Like I could read the whole book of the Bible right now. I could pray for like hours, and then like, you know, I go to bed that night, then I wake up and then it's just all gone. You know, I'm back to kind of like
it's a roller coaster of
exactly. So I'm kind of back to my like kind of not reading my Bible.
Same, bro.
I'll do it later.
With you.
Praying, you know, like I just don't take my relationship with God seriously. But recently, and I hope I keep doing this. I'm not saying like, oh, this is like, I want to be reading like my Bible all the time. But like, I really have been being consistent for a little bit with Romans because Romans, I've heard that like Romans is a really good like book to kind of start off with because it's like, you know, it really talks to like Christians and kind of how to start off the journey. And something that I read while I was like kind of like studying Romans, I'm on chapter 10 right now, but in chapter 7, and it really is just kind of because I feel like it's really easy like to I guess keep on sinning and stuff and like struggling with
falling back into it.
Yeah, because I feel like even with like our first episode was like struggling with faith, you know, because it's so easy to kind of like keep going back to a sin or
it's easy to feed your flesh.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And literally this I guess the heading here, it says struggling with sin. And it's like Romans chapter 7, verses 14 to, I'm trying to get the cave on my way, to 25. But I'll just read it. But it is really powerful. It says here, struggling with sin. So the trouble is not with the law, for it is spiritual and good. The trouble is with me, for I am all too human, a slave to sin. I don't really understand myself, for I want to do what is right, but I don't do it. Instead, I do what I hate. which was so powerful. Like reading this already,
I got chills, right?
It's already like
in my heart.
Yeah. But if I know what I am doing is wrong, this shows that I agree that the law is good, which means that we, I feel like a lot of Christians kind of grow up in church. We know what is right and wrong. Yet sometimes we kind of choose what is wrong on purpose, I
feel like we choose what's wrong more than we choose what's right.
Exactly. And then verse 17 here says, so I am not the one doing wrong. It is sin living in me that does it, which means that we are like, God never meant for us to do this, like to go to sin and stuff. It is like the devil and his sin kind of in us. It is sin living in us. It says that we are not defined by our sin. That's kind of what I got from that. We are not our sin. We're not pride. We're not lust. We're not gluttony. We're not all these things. That is sin. We are separate from sin. Sin is not the same thing. It says sin is living within us. And then verse 18 it says, and I know that nothing good lives in me. That is, in my sinful nature. I want to do what is right, but I can't.
Yeah.
I want to do what is good, but I don't. I don't want to do what is wrong, but I do it anyways, which is so true, Yeah. I feel like even though we might not want to do that sin, we kind of do it unwillingly, like you said, to kind of feed our flesh. And it says here, verse 20, but if I do what I don't want to do, I'm not really the one doing wrong. It is sin living in me that does it. Like going back again, it is sin in us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And in verse 21, it says, I have discovered this principle of life, that when I want to do what is right, I inevitably do what is wrong. And it says in verse 22, I love God's law with all my heart, but there is another power within me that is at war with my mind.
Yeah.
This power makes me a slave to the sin that is still within me. That's heavy, because it literally talks about how we're at war with our sin, within our heart and stuff. And then it says here, verse 24, oh, what a miserable person I am. He will free me from this life that is dominated by sin and death. Thank God. The answer is in Jesus Christ our Lord. So you see how it is. And it's kind of summarizing this whole heading here. This is the last verse. In my mind, I really want to obey God's law. But because of my sinful nature, I am a slave to sin.
Bro.
That is literally like...
It's literally like...
That's good.
Everybody's life, I feel
dude,
like.
Yes, dude.
You know what I mean?
That's why, bro, after that, I was like, dude. Because I remember I read 7 chapters. I wanted to start off 7 chapters. I don't know why. I guess I just let me read as long as I could, and that would felt like a good stopping place. But like after that, I was like, dude, I'm really gonna get into Romans now because this is a good book. Because it doesn't. I feel like I don't know. It feels like I don't know how to explain it.
It relates to you.
Yes, it feels like God's talking about it. And it talks about other stuff with like pride, obeying God's law, what we're supposed to and not to do. But it's more relatable because it knows that like it's not talking to a person that is like of high standard. It is talking to people like everyday people like us, Christians struggling. And it literally, that's why I think it's such a great book. I think it's such a great book to even start off with.
Yeah.
Because it kind of speaks to like an everyday person who still sins, that knows that they sin and stuff. But yeah.
That verse is really comforting to me, or those verses are, because like it helps me, like what I said earlier, when I was committing the sins of lust, I would feel guilty while doing it. I mean, I didn't, my heart did not want, because I knew it was hurting my relationship with God. And so like those verses literally say that, like I do what I do not want to do.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of comforting to me because it helps me see that, like, that I'm not alone in that.
Yeah.
That's with everybody, whether it's lust or, like you said, like anger, whatever. Your sin is that you struggle with. That happens with everybody.
Yeah.
So it's really comforting to me.
Yeah.
And I know Brock says it, or I think it's Brock. He's like, Jesus hates the sin, not the sinner.
Yeah.
Like he hates the sin in us. He don't hate us because we're sinning.
Yeah.
So like,
I mean,
and obviously like that's my bad. It's like the Holy Spirit convicting you. Like when you're like in the act of doing that lust and all that.
Yeah.
So what was you saying? My bad, bro.
Yeah, you're good. But what I was saying is that like something I kind of struggled was kind of like like pride, I guess. I don't know. But like I guess because I get really caught up with like, because one of our reels just hit like 230,000 views, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Big man, right?
yeah, like we're blowing up. But you know, I think it was for a couple of days, I was so attached to that number. It was a number. It wasn't people. It was a number, right?
Wow.
For me, it was so cool seeing that much views because I'm never like the podcast has never hit that much.
Yeah.
We're getting so much subscribers, we're getting followers, and it was like it felt good. And I'm not saying that it's not something that we should be like ashamed of celebrating or something. Because it really is a good like a milestone. But I kind of let that be the reason. Like this is why I'm doing it. Because of numbers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something I was like, what am I doing this for? Am I doing this for the numbers or am I doing this for the people? And I look at these videos, I look at like these other videos have gotten pretty good views, but I look at this video, like I look at the comments and stuff, and it's like, dude, pray for me. I'm struggling with this thing. And it kind of really like relates to me, like, bro, these aren't just numbers on the screen. These are actual people who like these videos, who watch these people, who repost, share because they're struggling with a sin or stuff.
Yeah.
So, but it really is a thing because I'm really used to like, I mean, I don't know. I'm really, because I guess I do a lot of work to trying to like get these videos up and like release
you
content.
can get caught up in trying to be like, I'm doing this for me, or I'm trying to get the views, I'm trying to get the subscribers, but like,
and I've edited clips and I'm like, dude, this is fire. This is gonna get a million views right now. And I post it and it gets like 1,000. I'm like, dude, and it kind of gets to me. I'm like, come on, bro.
And I'm sure all the, podcasters that are religious have dealt with that. That same thing. I mean, like that was just talking about, it's not just you in this battle. I'm sure all of the other ones have dealt with that exact same feeling.
Yeah.
Especially,
for sure.
Getting I don't know numbers, like 15,000 or whatever. I don't know numbers actually.
But like I know, like on the way when we were coming to the studio, you were like, how many shares does it have? And it was like 10,000 something.
Yeah.
And
crazy.
Pablo was like, yeah, that's 10,000 people we've reached.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
10,000 people sharing it to another 10,000 or more people.
Yeah.
And that's just insane to me because like, I mean, I guess because it's such a new like height because we never got it.
That much,
because like the most viewed before that was like 5,000.
Yeah.
And that was like Rich's first episode.
Yeah.
That was like a whole year ago. So the fact that we're like in this new, like we're at a whole nother level. It feels like it's like it kind of caught up with me. Like, dude, I like, even though it's nice seeing this number, I shouldn't be the reason why I'm doing this.
Mm-hmm.
It should be because like I'm trying to lead other people to God too, because we all struggle with whatever and stuff. So I definitely want to like help other people who are struggling with sin or whatever. But
I think that's like, because like knowing what the Lord wants me to do, like he wants me to preach, like this is what he wants me to do. And I guess I got kind of cocky because I was like, oh, the Lord's like, this is what I'm supposed to do for the Lord. Like, I'm called to do this. I'm called to do all that. And I got caught up in having all this like head knowledge. Yeah. And like, if you have head knowledge, but it don't connect to the heart, then there's no reason to use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, I got caught up in having this ego that I'm so much better than the person who's not, or I know more. You know what I mean? Like I have more
like faith. I have this calling on my life.
Yeah.
Like God's given me this power and I'm,
I
know what you mean. Yeah.
But like, it took me a minute to really like, cause like now I'm not reading the word. I'm not doing all this because when I was like in this prideful stage, I got like caught up into not reading the Bible to connect with God, but to get knowledge. You know what I mean? And obviously having knowledge about the word is amazing and like we need that. But if it don't connect, like I said, to the heart, then it's useless because you're not going to grow with the Lord. And I got caught up in just having knowledge and not having a relationship. Almost like were you talking about like having the checklist, like just marking off Christian box checker.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Another thing I feel like with the new like video and stuff, I feel like I'm almost behind, because so much people in the comments are like talking about like they're pulling up verses, they're pulling up like things, they're asking us questions, and I don't know how to answer. I'm like, dude, I don't know. It's like, who do you like? I don't know. It's generally just questions that I'm just like, dude, I kind of feel behind, and I'm like, dude, I want to reply to these comments, but I don't know what to say.
Yeah,
like it's just stuff like that where I want to like, because we have like, I think it's 300 comments right now. and I really don't know how to answer some of them. Like, I'm just like looking at these comments. I'm like, dude, how do I even approach this person? Like, there's people that are like, I'm a Satanist. I'm like, prove to me that God's real. I'm like, dude, I don't know how to like.
Hard. Like, honestly.
Yeah. I'm like, dude, I don't know how to prove it. Like, I don't feel like I believe in God, but I don't know how to like give, because I don't think you can really give like evidential proof. I mean, there's like manuscripts and like stuff like that, but I don't know.
So you just gotta like feel it, I guess.
Yeah.
Like you were just saying, you can give
faith.
all the information, but if it doesn't connect with your heart, then it's useless. You know?
Yeah.
And you just have to plant that seed of knowledge, and then if God chooses to work in them, then they'll start to feel it in their heart.
If you allow the Holy Spirit to like work through you to show Him, then he'll show that person Him, if that makes sense. Like he'll show him.
He'll speak through you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm getting put in this high standard and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I should, because I own a Christian podcast, I should know everything that's about. I should have read it front and back, every single translation. I should be able to speak Greek, Hebrew, but I don't. I still kind of, like I said, I still struggle with reading my Bible, and of course, I've been trying to do it, but I'm still like Eli, bro. Eli's crazy. Like
he knows everything, bro. It was crazy.
When was John the Baptist born?
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And so I feel like I'm kind of playing a game of catch up, like I'm honestly keep trying to like catch up. I'm trying to like, but I know like I kind of like have faith in God that like, maybe one day I'll be able to like answer questions.
And it's just staying disciplined.
Yeah.
Like even when like times that because you like you were talking about, you have the spiritual high and then you wake up and you're low as can be and you don't feel the Lord, you don't feel the Holy Spirit, but like staying disciplined through that and like almost forcing yourself to like, all right, I'm going to read the word. I'm going to read it for an hour and I'm going to allow the Holy Spirit to move and work in this time. And like that'll turn into a desire. Like what Pastor Matthew said. I probably said that 1,000 times on this podcast, but it's so true that it turns into a discipline. You start out as a discipline and then it turns into a desire and you just keep growing and growing.
Yeah.
But also what you just said is also moving and powerful. You don't have to know all of this knowledge to do this podcast, because you sharing your struggles and that's reaching somebody, across the screen who's also struggling. Because like for me, one of my biggest things is feeling alone, because I don't meet a lot of girls who are like, yes, I struggle with lust, because I feel like even though like sin is equal, that one always seems to be the most like hush, like, because I mean, it for a little bit, it is embarrassing. I mean, like, because it's kind of showing your true colors, I guess,
But it's good to be vulnerable.
Yes, exactly.
I really do think like lust is like the least talked to. Like, I feel like people would like,
they kind of cover it up.
Yeah.
They kind of just like hide it. They're like, no, I'm good.
Because like, it's not talked about a lot, but a lot of people struggle with it and stuff, because I feel like pride is like, people talk about like stuff that they wouldn't, because if they talk about it, they're like, most people won't judge them like, I was pride, everyone's able to pride. But when you say lust, then people were kind of like,
the room gets silent. Everybody's like, oh, okay.
What the heck? Get out of here. Yeah. Because I won't say names, but you guys probably know who I'm talking about. But like, someone that I just realized that struggled with porn, like, I don't know if you guys know who I'm talking about.
I don't.
Okay. They shared it on like to our school.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you know now. And when I heard that, I was surprised.
There's no way he was. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm like, dude, I could, not in a million years could I have ever expected this person to like struggle with that, because they're like, I'm like,
and it's what we were talking about earlier, like, because with pride and anger, you can almost already see it on that person.
Yeah.
So it's not as shocking. I mean, someone who is very prideful is going to walk around, with their head lifted high and, like they're everything. But lust is such a sin of the heart that
it's easy to cover up.
It's in a private room, it's
it doesn't really outwardly shows.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. And that's why I thought it was very important to bring that to the table here, even though there's no table.
I mean, over there.
Yeah, that table over there. I thought it was very important to share that part of my testimony, even though it's something I'm still dealing with, because I feel like the people who struggle with it, you know, it's easy to feel alone because there's not many video podcasters or people around you that are very open about that sin, because it's something that you struggle with like in your heart. And it's really hard to, if God doesn't just take it away from you because it's part of your story, it's a battle every day. And I feel like that's why a lot of people are hush about it a little bit, you know, like I'm gonna keep this to myself, because it is an ongoing battle every day. I mean, every day I have to wake up in the morning. I have sticky notes everywhere that says pick up my mat and walk.
Yeah, that's good.
Because, and I avoid everything, like staying home alone, can't do it. And I've shared that with my parents. They don't necessarily know. And my mom feels bad. I've told her about my lust issue, but like I said, they're like, something just hasn't really like clicked with them yet, I guess. I'm not going to show them this video now. But, so she's like, well, you're a teenager. Like, you know, like these feelings are normal. Like you're going through. And I was like, no, this has happened since 3rd grade.
Yeah.
Like I'm not supposed to be having these feelings in 3rd grade. That's crazy. And I used to tutor 3rd and 4th grade. And I think that's when it really clicked for me that like, oh my gosh, I was so young. And I had one student that had said something like that, just joking around, you know, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's not like, you know, I really made it important for me to talk to them and show them that they're loved, even though I wasn't going to talk to one of my 3rd graders about lust. Definitely not.
Yeah.
But I wanted to let them know that I was there for them, because at that age, it's not like let me look at this because I'm feeling lust. It like something had to happen for you to have to resort to that, you know? And so I find it very important. I don't know, like if God lets me have kids, then there's going to be restrictions because me not having restrictions, I don't want to say like ruin my life, but it led to so many other problems, like doubting myself and my self-worth, because that's what I was putting my worth into, not God, you know, and that is an awful thing to put your self-worth into, because then that led to me talking to way older guys that I shouldn't have even been in contact with. And they weren't there to show me love. And, you know, they were there to use me. And part of me knew that deep down in my heart. But like I said, I was not looking in the right place. And so that's why it's so important for me to have like affirmations from the Bible in my room, and having pick up your mat and walk in my room, because I still struggle with self-worth, you know, because that's, like I said, something in your heart, and it really has put a toll on me. So I think that's why it's very important to like share that part of your testimony, I guess, if you're struggling with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.